Welcome to season 6 of A Little Birdie Told Me with rollercoaster.ie. On episode 2, I'm talking to nutrition coach, the wonderful Sophie Morris. Sponsored by Aptamil Follow-On Milk. We believe that every feed is a gift. That's why we've dedicated over 50 years to breast milk research and created Aptamil Follow-On Milk. Aptamil Follow-On Milk, your life, our science. Breastfeeding is best. Follow-on milk should be used as part of a mixed diet from 6 months. Talk to a health professional. So welcome to this episode. And on this episode, I have somebody on who I had on, I think it's 2 seasons ago. It definitely wasn't last season. So maybe the first one I did, season 4, who I was just like, I'd met in a park and we were both in miss the boobs and breastfeeding and motherhoody time. And we kind of found each other and then we had a little play date together and I was like, oh, we'll check back in. And then I started seeing what she was doing online and I had her in to talk about her really, really interesting childhood, her 20s, 30s into motherhood. But now I was like, I have to have this lady back on because she has blown up. So she will probably never get her again because she'll be on flipping Kelly Clarkson show and just pissing off to America all the time. But she has blown up in Ireland and has really resonated with mums. Sophie Morris, welcome. I don't know what to call you.
What to call me? I'm a nutritionist. As people are calling me content creator now, which is a bit mad.
Wellness, all of the things.
Yeah, exactly.
But like just all round relatable, all round sound, never a nasty word out of this woman's mouth. Even earlier we were giving out about something completely separate. And like you always keep it so in perspective. You're just an absolute doll. Anyone that meets you knows you're a doll.
Thank you so much.
You are. And so found this woman through a friend when I was having a baby, and you had always been creating, like you'd Sophie Cooks, you were always creating wonderful foodie content.
Yeah.
That was all wholesome, good, made in your house, hearty, and for your children and for yourself. You were always about that. You had studied in Trinity, you had this big path. But in recent months, and like it's the funny thing, it's like anyone who's like, I've been singing for 20 years. Like you've always been doing this really positive content.
Exactly.
And talking about how to make this stuff at home. But in recent months, you've been kind of a little bit of a different direction and talking about things that are happening to what we're buying and seeing and being fed in supermarkets and that branding content, right? And you've been talking about it and making little videos. And it's really resonated to the point where you basically went viral.
Yes. That's basically what happened.
What happened?
I mean, it is crazy. And like Robbie, my husband, always says, you know, everyone's like, wow, what's happened with Sophie? But he's like, this is like a 10-year overnight success type thing. Like I've been making content for a very long time, but I was getting frustrated by talking to lots of women that I work with. I coach women with nutrition, and they were really confused about what to buy in the supermarket. They were just getting so confused particularly over like lots of high protein claims on products and kind of, you know, going for these things. And I'm thinking, but look what else is in there. And they were very confused. And I totally get it. It's a minefield when you go shopping. So I decided to go in and do a few reels, but I didn't even think anything of it. I mean, in the last year, I was doing reels every single day, and they were and they were doing well, but you know, nothing like this. And then I did 1, 2, 3 reels, and just every single one started going viral. These ones in the supermarket where I was talking through ingredients. And
but you were in your leggings, you were in a top, you were in your coat. You weren't like over filtered. You weren't like you're beautiful naturally, but you weren't like trying to glam it up or fake it. You were like, I'm walking into a shop as a woman, as a mother, as a wife, whatever you are. And it's like, this is what you're actually seeing on the packages.
Yes.
But before that, you resonated with me because you were talking about our cycle.
Yeah.
You were talking about what women need to eat and feel and do. What actually hit home for me about a year and a half ago was that I was gymming and getting into a bit of a plateau situation where I was just cardio to burn calories to get rid of whatever I'd eaten. So it's this kind of dysmorphic thing of like, burn it off. And then it was like weightlifting was benefiting me so much more. And you were talking about how kill it on these days, don't kill it on these days. So you had already found a tribe. And honestly, you're the brightest woman out there because you'd found a tribe and now you're actually finding this other tribe. And you're going to go again and find some other tribe.
Thank you.
So perimenopause, into menopause, into, you know, parenting, into your own, feeding your own self. So you did kind of blow up. And tell us exactly, like you're walking through a supermarket and you're basically picking up a packet.
I mean,
there's
I think
nothing really weird
right.
and conspiracy. Like she's
no,
not part
I'm
of
literally,
some,
I mean, I think
she's not working for Heinz, lads. Do you know, it's so creepy.
That's the thing. I mean, I think people have liked that I literally am running in between the school run. Like I'm legging it into Tesco, like, you know, just got my big coat on and my hair up in a bun. And I'm like frustrated by some packaging that I've seen that I go, that is just frustrating. And I'm picking it up and I'm going, okay, so you know, and I'm really just trying to raise awareness that the way these huge food companies are trying to market to us, they are using these health claims on products that, yes, maybe they are factually correct, but the way they put them forward as this health product, like let's say high protein. Okay, it probably is high protein, but what else is in there? Sometimes I've seen products that are more sugar than protein in that product. Yeah. And it's like any benefit of the product is of the protein.
But is that because is it all the sugar and sweetener? So we really get addicted and it tastes a little bit better. It's not as palatable if it's too proteiny. Am I correct? It's not like they're trying to kill us. They're just like, it's a little bit more palatable.
No, they're not. They never are. They're not trying to harm us. But the reality is these companies are huge companies, and their goal is financial growth and profits. And so they need to sell more and more and more. That's always their objective. And adding sugar makes something a lot more palatable. And, you know, I know it's a parenting podcast to talk about like ultra processed foods and kids. In particular, we're seeing so much sugar added to ultra processed foods that are really marketed to kids, you know, even like kids snacks. That's
always been the way, Sophie. Like when we were little kids, it was always at the end of the supermarket up at the till when your mum was wrecked. You'd killed her by annoying her for the whole and she'd have 3 kids in her arm and there'd be sweets just at that point.
But they're sweets, but I'm talking about
are you talking about things that
recently
are hidden? Sorry,
like in the last 10 years, ultra processed foods directed at kids has really come on the market, and they're really marketing towards kids, like young kids.
You don't have to do brand examples, but what you mean, like, are we talking about silly things like fruit things?
Like lots of pouches and things like this.
Sure,
this wouldn't have been around when we were in.
Oh, you know, you're right. We never had that stuff. Yeah.
That whole aisle, which is kids' snacks.
And it's all pretty.
It's all pretty, and you know, but
you're a mom, you're like, look at that. Yeah. There's berries on it.
Exactly. And then it's really high in sugar. And they're adding more sugar to make them more palatable towards kids, because that's what kids want to eat, and then they sell more. And it's just what I think has really been good about my content is it's just given an overall level of awareness for people out there to, okay, we actually have to start paying attention to what's in the foods that we're buying. And I always say, you do not need to cut out ultra processed foods completely. I completely don't believe that's realistic or necessary. You know, I'm a real realist in that this is the modern world we live in.
Eat your bits, eat your thing, take what you need, have your drink. But it's like, also be aware that every single day you're pumping your kid.
Be aware with what you're buying, because there are options. I think this has been the real eye opener. There's options on the shelves of the same kinds of foods, but one can have a lot better ingredients than the other one. I think that's been a huge eye opener for people. Like,
so my mum is 70 something and was preaching what you were saying when it was not fashionable to preach, or not even fashionable, as really well known. And my mum was always like an incredible cook and cooked and she used to just laugh at us when we were like in shopping centres going, why can't we have fizzy drinks like our friends, or why can't we have ketchup on it? You can't. And she'd make the chips with the skins on. If we were to have Chip Friday, she would make the fish on why can we go to the chipper? We never were allowed to take away. We were never allowed anything processed. Orange juice was bad. So my mum, and she tried not to be too kind of like bad good, but she was so anal about what was in foods. And I was like, why can't we have soup in the tin? Why do you make soup? And she's like, because it's just sugar and some tomato. And I'm like, Mom, I want to be like all the kids who have, you know, tomato in the tin.
Exactly.
But she was always preaching about that. So it was really great, because I criticised it at the time and I felt like, God, we're so uncool. We're the kids who go to school with flipping celery sticks and a dressing that is spilled all over the bag, stinks. You know, smoked salmon and brown bread.
Amazing.
I know, like she was a proper, and we'd be swapping our lunches with other kids in the class in embarrassment. Of course I was, because you don't want to be different in school.
Well, that's it.
But she now is like, I did this because look at the stuff, like when I was with Simone and needed to reach for a rusk or one of those, I'm not going to name the brands, and she'd be like, why are you giving her that? I'm like, oh, she's kind of looking, and she goes, it's just sugar backs. Like, it's you wonder why the child is jumping off the walls for nap time. And I'm like,
that's it. You know, I did a reel the other day which really hit home with a lot of people, saying that, you know, have you ever heard maybe someone in the older generation saying, I used to eat all that stuff when I was a kid and look at me, I'm absolutely fine. And that's just not a valid argument, I was saying, because the same kinds of products back then, like your loaves of bread or your orange juice even, it didn't have the same level of ingredients as we have 100%.
Now. It was starch and flour, but it was a basic starch.
Well, exactly.
It was crap, but it was a basic crap. We now have the additional crap.
All these additives
and
that
the
are being
carcinogens,
added.
like all of the what's the aspartame? Like there's so much crap.
All the artificial sweeteners, and then there's so many emulsifiers, so many preservatives. Like, in the end of the day, the food scientists they have so much money, and they are designing products that are designed to be hyper palatable, so that they can, you know, we want more and more of them, that they last long on the shelf.
Say that lasts longer in your
shelf life, that they have a great consistency.
So what keeps a corpse lasting longer? Do you know what I mean?
Like, you look at
stuff.
Ever seen like, I mean, like, you have a bagel, and like it's kind of scary how long that bagel will last there in your shelf.
It's gross.
You know,
it's
before
gross.
it starts to,
and it's
you think,
shiny.
this is supposed to be bread.
Yes.
You know, real bread will go moldy very quickly.
Yeah.
It's supposed to have a few ingredients. So I think, you know, and it's not to be scared of these products, because we don't need to be, but it's just about being more mindful. What am I buying, and can I make clever swaps? I think that's been a huge empowering thing for parents, is me showing you can.
I
make
love the clever swaps. I think
you know,
it's less, you're all wrong. You should be at home cooking for 7 hours on a Sunday evening.
It's not realistic.
Blah, blah, blah. But it's not. It's like, lads, there are alternatives. And the more we pick the alternative, the more the other feckers have to catch up.
Exactly.
But is it a cultural shift? And this is something I was thinking about a lot when I was watching your reels. So we're talking about the aisle, and you and I would have been fed it because we had the two babas similar times, where it was the colourful berries, sweetie, happy hip balloons, all the stuff on the pictures. I'm not going to go into the packaging, but we know what it is. It's in the baby section. And you're a tired mama, and you've done all the healthy stuff, but you're also like, oh, that pouch should be that'll be a sweetener now for the car when they start, because my kids hated the car, so they'd scream in the car. So I'm like, a pouch is full of blackcurrants, and then you'd read it. And is it a cultural shift too, that there's more dual income families, there's more women and men working for the last 30 years. So it's not just about it being the basics, and the mum was at home perhaps cooking, or the granny was cooking for the house, and there was blah, blah, blah. There's now this kind of fast, rapid pace. We're having the babies, but we're also working. We need to stock up for the week. We're doing our lunch boxes, but it's basic stuff. And so they've really honed in on these families, and they've gone, here's quick stuff, but it's still healthy.
Absolutely. They're taking advantage 100%. Like, it's so hard.
It is hard.
As working parents, to be able to prep all your food from scratch, and like you say, have all the dinners of the it's impossible. There's so much pressure there. But so we do need some quick fixes, realistically. And you're right. That's what they are wanting to market towards. Like, this is so healthy for your kid, you know. And like, how many mothers we struggle with the whole mom guilt thing. Like, it's a massive thing. So if they can package something up nice and pretty, that this is a really healthy option for your kid, that's really convenient, then that's taking away that's taking that away from parents. But it's, you know, it's having the awareness that these companies, they don't actually have our interests at heart.
Of course they don't. And we
they're
do
not,
need
as
to
I said, they're
remember
not
that.
trying to harm us, but they just genuinely don't care about our health. They care about selling more.
Bottom line.
So we have to empower ourselves with information, and the only way to empower yourself, in my view, is to actually read the packet.
But there's nothing you're doing. You're not typixing it out and writing it in. Like,
No.
Sophie picks up a packet. It's not rocket science, guys.
Yeah.
She might be smarter than us, but she's actually just picking up a packet, which I did start to do when I had kids, more so I think than when I was in Egypt and having Red Bulls in college. Like, I did start to read packages and go, oh crap,
What's in this?
Those crackers, Gia, you can't have those. But I only started to do it when I had kids.
Yeah.
And I'm a devil for preaching to my husband. I'm like, look at the stuff that you're pouring on your steak. But then I'm like, you know what, you do you. But to know, it's worrying, and we're also trying to teach them to be savvy about what they're cooking and creating and eating.
And there is a balance, right? And I think that's, you know, like 99.9% of people are just so unbelievable with the comments and messages to me about how it's helped their family life, and it's incredible, and like, it makes me emotional sometimes reading how helpful it's been for some people. But then you obviously get the one or two messages, you know, saying that, oh, but like, we don't want to be obsessing about labels, and I completely agree.
I think you're obsessing about labels.
I'm not in any way saying to be obsessive about labels. Like, obviously my content is exactly, you know, looking at labels and helping people.
She's not a makeup artist, lads. This is what she does. There's one type of content you'll get from Sophie, and it's health and nutrition.
Exactly. And but the thing is, if you start to look at a few of your regular food products, you get to know it very quickly. You don't need to be going in and looking at everything.
But which is lovely, because there's less confusion. There's a lot of overwhelm. If you've just had tantrums in the car from your kids, or a drama at home, or you've come from a really long day at work, I often go up at 8 or 9 o'clock, and you walk into an overwhelming food aisle. All it is doing by taking in what you're creating is like, it's eking out. It's like, I know that that's not great. I know that that's not great.
Exactly.
I know I prefer the browner pasta than the one.
Exactly.
It's just helping.
It's just an overall awareness. That's really what I'm trying to create.
Do you get negative stuff?
Like, very little.
Or do you just filter?
Very little.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like, I'm still catching up with the level of input. I mean, I'm not
So
used
she
to
went
this level
from
of
like
DMs.
20,000, like you had you had a good following.
Yeah.
Because I'm all for the micro influencer, because I think there's more sustainability. Like, you did have 10 to 20,000 followers.
Yeah, for a
when
very
I
long
knew
time.
you, and you were fabulous.
For a very long time.
Was doing cooking shows, you had your book, like I said, and this was your career. Then you went off and had babas and took a tiny bit of time out.
Yeah.
you now have how many followers?
Like 200 and over.
Is this since the summer?
Since August.
And this is from these
3 months.
supermarket videos.
From the supermarket videos.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, went from August.
Was that
19th.
very overwhelming?
Very overwhelming. Like, it's been incredible. Like, I'm getting lots of great, opportunities and things. But like going from around, like you say, 20,000 followers in the middle of August to now the middle of November or whatever, like, to 260. I mean, it's very hard to wrap your head around. I still can't wrap my head around the numbers. But like, we talked about this before, but I'm a real people pleaser. So, initially I was like, I need to get back to all these DMs. I need to get back to all these DMs.
Know.
And it was like, I was getting anxiety
really
thinking,
upsetting.
I want to help people and I love these messages coming in and I genuinely am like, but I
also
got to
kids.
the point where I was like, I actually can't, because I mean,
can't.
it's like thousands.
You
nearly
have to
every
just
day.
be like, at least they're enjoying it, at least they're commenting and engaging.
And I do
respond.
try and get into some, when I can, and when I do read them, it just fills me up so much, because really what I'm driven by is helping people with the confusion that's out there, and I love that. It fills me up so much. So when I do read some, I just get so motivated. I'm like, yes, I want to keep doing this because I can see how it's impacting. So I love that. But yeah, it's been overwhelming. Like, it's funny now. It's only been a few months, but being stopped in the supermarket every time I go in now is mad.
She's like a celebrity in the supermarket.
But it's you know what it is?
And
I think it's people
asking you
seeing me
stuff?
in the same context.
Yeah, but are people now asking you, should I buy this? And you're
in general, no,
Thank
they're not.
God.
They're so lovely. They
Thank
just come
God.
up and they just say, I love what you're doing. I love it. I love
bless.
it. Thank you so much. Or they occasionally ask me, will you do one on this? Will you do one on this?
I can
And that's
attest
nice.
to the fact, if there's any negatives, which I know there won't be, but if there's any negative, because people get very jealous of success.
Yeah.
And I think all we can say here is that you're doing good and you're successful.
Yeah.
But if anyone is a bit like, she is not a fat Nazi. Sophie is not obsessed with weight or with sugar. She is completely correct in her analysis of packaging. There's nothing there that's like working one brand over another and trying to
No.
she will work with brands. That's got nothing to do with that. But she's not like picking one over the other.
And so I have my program still, and so that is really what we
Okay,
go
good.
through in my online program with women, and it's amazing, and I love that whole area. So yeah, I think that's really important for people to know as well, because obviously they've only just come across me perhaps,
Yeah.
but there's a lot more to what I actually do and teach, but this is just a narrow area of nutrition that I am talking about, because it's really working.
But what's the
and it's really
dream?
helping.
Because I love the word content create. I think it's, it's actually factually correct. You're creating content that resonates, right?
Yeah.
You're doing that. You've got your program. You're helping. You're now able to work a little bit more as the kids get a little bit older. They're still teeny. What is the dream? Like nowadays, with the TV not being as popular, and now we're all looking to YouTube. Like, what would you love to do and create for yourself
Well,
as a
really,
career?
like what I'm really motivated by is actually creating change within the food industry.
Wow, like
And
a
I
Jamie
feel-
Oliver tried to do at school
well,
lunches. Do you remember that?
Yes, yeah,
was the
I
90s,
am.
was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's amazing what he's done, but I'm really driven by that,
That would be
because
cool.
because what I like, the fact that I have reached I'm getting so much reach and so much influence with people, is that now I'm like, brands are starting
Oh my
to
God, we
listen.
need to make a documentary.
Brands are starting to listen,
Yes.
so it's like, no, this is what people want.
Brilliant.
They want more
I
minimally
love
processed foods. So that's why I'm saying, like, we as consumers have power.
Can
The
you
more
travel the
we-
world in your documentary and I'll come as your producer? Like, can you go from Australia can you go
Let's
to
do
every
it.
supermarket?
Yeah.
We have an obesity, like, jokes aside, we
No,
have an
but that's-
obesity
that's
epidemic with
it.
cancer, and everyone goes, oh, it's just genetic. No, sorry.
No, that's where
Sorry,
this is all,
it's
and
not
that is
true.
where this all comes back to. And the reality is, diet-related disease is going up, and it's
100%.
and it's in relation to our rates of ultra-processed foods going up. So we can say, obviously it's all about the 80-20 rule, and some people are saying, well, we just focus on whole foods. And
Go on, what's the
yes,
Go on, give us the rule.
well, like 80% of our food should be from whole foods, but then of course, like we can have some ultra-processed foods. That
Do you eat
20%.
ultra-processed foods?
Oh, I absolutely.
What
give-
do you crave? Like, what would you crave if you really
I
needed something?
personally don't really eat ultra processed foods. I don't crave them. I
That's
personally
because
don't.
you've spent so
bar
long not
bar
eating
like
them.
some chocolate and stuff.
But is that because
obviously.
you've spent so long not having them? It's like when
Yes,
someone gives
exactly.
a drink.
It's not like
and
I
they're
want-
I don't crave it.
Exactly.
Fine.
I don't crave it, but I absolutely do give it to my kids. Like, I've got two
Like
really
what?
really fussy kids.
What would they crave?
Like, they'd pizza, you know,
so
frozen pizza.
But I was going to say, but you probably make it. But the
Oh,
odd frozen
look,
pizza.
I'm a busy mum as much as anyone else.
Fine,
I am not at home cooking everything from scratch, and that's really important.
So if they want stuff like that, you will give them certain
I will,
things.
and I also know how challenging it is when you have really picky eaters.
Yeah, I've got picky eaters, Sophie.
Mine have really gone through phases. They've gone through really picky phases, and other phases not so much.
So they are a bit picky, yeah.
So yeah, and so that's why I think, for instance, the frozen chips. I don't know if you saw my reel on frozen chips. That was a bit of a revolution for mums, and I was so thrilled with some of the feedback I got from that one, because I think that mums can have real shame over feeding their kids frozen food, for instance. But and maybe, you know, I got so many messages from mums saying that their kids have like sensory issues and they only will eat food from the freezer aisle, but they had such guilt and shame over it, and I was actually making them feel empowered that they could make better choices in that freezer aisle.
So have them maybe do your Friday day where you can't spend 50 quid in a takeaway for your family, but you need to get the frozen chips, but just do a better job of it.
You can get frozen chips that have got tons of emulsifiers, dextrose, dextrin, maltodextrin, all these forms of sugar, right? And then you can get frozen chips that are just cheaper, that are just potatoes and oil.
That's so interesting.
Do you know, so it's like, wow, I can make that swap, and that actually
Thank you, Sophie.
You know, that makes a big difference. And so, you know, I have to give if I'm giving my kids frozen chips, I'll get those ones.
What about sugar and sweets?
That was what I wanted to say. Some people were coming at me with that one. Most people were loving it, and some people were saying, that's just laziness. You know, peel some potatoes and chuck them in the oven, right? And my point there is, it does actually take a lot longer in the oven.
Or so,
it's longer, but then secondly, you don't know what people have going on in their lives. And I went through a phase with my eldest where he loved my homemade chips, and then for some reason, one day he just wouldn't eat them. But he would eat the frozen chips.
Yeah, we were doing sweet potato fries, and they got rejected then a month later.
So
and I was
like, do you know what? I am busy mum. You know, at the time, I think my youngest wasn't sleeping at all. Yeah, I'll pick up those frozen chips that have potato and oil in them. Thank you very much for that one day. You know, so I think it's really important to realise where people are at in life, and sometimes we do need convenience foods.
What about sugars and sweets for your own kids at parties? I have an issue. This is a completely personal hang up. It's got nothing to do with this podcast or you. I have an issue with, and by the way, I'm a divil for, not really takeaways, but I'm a divil for sugar. So if I'm premenstrual in my periods, having a bad, I'm more of a jelly girl than I would be like crisps or takeaways. Like, I'm terrible for the sugar. But I'm not crazy about this reward of sweeties for kids in schools, at camps, at houses, every play date. It's getting crazy, and we never had that. We would be given pencil sharpeners,
totally,
a toy, a thing, and it was like whatever. Now I feel like anything that my child does well is like the reward is jellies. What is happening there with the sweetie thing?
That's a real struggle. I think you're absolutely right.
Control, like, do you go into everyone's house and go, stop giving my kids?
Totally, and there's a real balance there in that
do you struggle with that with your kids?
Yeah, I do. And like I do struggle with that because it's everywhere. And then of course my more not so much my youngest, who's 3, but my oldest is like, you know, he's just like expects jellies and stuff now sometimes, and I'm thinking, what is going on, you know? And there's this balance of not, because it's very important that we're not telling our kids this food is bad, this food is good.
This is a drama though.
That's
Sorry, I'm really struggling with this. Like when when Simone's taking jellies out of we have a little cupboard where all the old Halloween stuff, I got rid of it all, but there was bits left over for the odd Friday treat day, and she takes them out and brings them around the house and wants them and kind of wants them, and they're this great thing, and I'm like, why don't you just have your apple that I cut up? And I'm trying to say this is a better alternative without saying it's bad.
Yeah, I think the way the language that I try and use is that these are our everyday foods, and these are fun foods that we enjoy the occasion time. I kind of say fun foods.
Okay, wow.
But and that we don't have fun foods every day. We have to have our everyday foods every day. But look, my eldest, he picks it up from everywhere, like his friends, school.
Do you get annoyed?
I find it frustrating because meltdowns can really ensue, but I think there's a balance because
and we're stuck with them.
Yeah,
right?
We're stuck with that.
So but you go play date and it's like, I'll just 6 boxes of Smarties, wouldn't eat the snacks I made. All right, okay. And then you go home and you have the worst Friday evening ever.
And then you see
and
the
you're
sugar.
Like, great, now I have that.
Sugar meltdowns are huge.
Huge.
So, you know, that alone, you can see the impact on sugar on us. But, you know, I think that there's this kind of balance. I mean, I've kind of taken the approach that, you know, I don't want my kid as well to be the kid that doesn't get the stuff, you know, that their friends get at parties, let's say, you know, because you don't want them to be kind of
isolated.
Yeah, this odd one. So I think, you know, you just have to I think that there's a bit of just have to let them be when they're out at other things and play dates and things, and then all you can do is control what you have in your own home. I think that's the kind of line I've kind of taken in my mind. Just control. It's so hard. It's so
like the
hard.
brain food. I remember with Gia, and it's funny talking about different kids. She was just like having olives and sardines at like 3. She just loved taste, right?
That's
so she was into it. I
amazing.
think I remember saying that to you.
Yeah.
And you'd give her avocado, and nothing was yucky. Everything was.
Yeah.
And Gia would be like sensory. She'd be like, like she loved it. Simone
Love
is
that.
like, I worry about her brain food because she was on the boob for 2 years, and
Yeah.
that's all she wanted was sweet milk, obviously.
Yeah.
To formula, to water, to picking at fruit. She's the worst. And I'm like, how's that tiny brain? Like, should we worry about this kind of stuff, the impact? I'm like, how's that child going to fare? Because all she lived on was breast milk.
I think this is another thing that we just give ourselves such a hard time, don't we, as mums, and this kind of worry. And I do it too, you know, when my kids are going through picky phases. I think what we can do is keep on giving them, just keep on offering the food. You know, there is really strong research showing that it is the exposure to new foods.
Oh, good.
And, you know, if you just, I mean, I think a great approach, let's say at dinner time, is instead of like feeding up their plate.
Oh yeah, I try and do very little on the plate.
You just put like the selection out, you know, like in big serving dishes.
like that kind of tapasy thing.
Like exactly, but like let's say what you're having, but just put it as like you serve yourself at the table, so at least they get a chance to like, oh, I like the look of that, and they might take that, and they just they're getting the exposure of seeing the foods, and I think a good idea is to always have one food that you know that they will actually eat, like whether it's pasta or whatever, plain pasta, let's say, but you know that they'll choose something, and then hopefully over time, just getting this exposure, they will start to have more, especially if the whole family are digging into those bits and bobs. I think that's a much better approach than giving them like a big plate of food, lots of different foods.
There's mashed thing, there's you can eat it.
It's quite overwhelming.
It is overwhelming. It's overwhelming for us when we're given at someone's house or at a party. You're just like, oh, I love that idea. I try and do that at the if I'm home at the weekend, the hummus platter where it's like tons of veg and.
Do you know a lovely, actually a brilliant tip that, because as I said, my kids have struggled with fuzzy eating, I started doing, which really helps because they're always starving at dinner time, and I'm like, getting the food.
Starving to the point where we have meltdowns pre-dinner.
It's so hard.
And I used to think it was something wrong or they'd had a bad day, and I do what's wrong? And then my husband started going, she's starving.
Just starving.
I was like, oh God, you're right. And I'm like milling.
Do you know what I started to do, which made a big impact?
My kids start singing. I know when they're happy during dinner, when they're like, and I'm like, so cute. Oh, now they're regulated.
They're regulating their nervous system. That's what it does, singing.
So they just singing to themselves. I'm like, they were just miserable because they were hungry.
That's so cute. But before they get to that point of starving and giving out to me, I've started giving them like some raw veggies. Like it would generally be either cut up cucumber or carrot. Yeah. And genuinely, they're eating it. And it's not like part of dinner. It's your pre-dinner snack. That's what I say. It's your pre-dinner snack. And I could give it to them
and they feel so fancy.
And I give it to them in the living room, like where they're playing. So they're not like sitting down at the table.
But it's a natural sugar too. The carrots and stuff gives them a little bit of a...
And they eat it. And I feel like, with that, I feel like, okay, I'm winning. At least they've had some veg before they've sat down to a proper meal.
Is a diet of pesto pasta for the rest of their lives okay?
Yeah. Exactly.
What is the pesto pasta thing? I don't remember ever having pesto pasta as a kid, and my kids are addicted.
Either do I. Yeah, it's, who knows? My kids would be more the bolognese.
Okay,
but that's good. Like that's one of them. I mean, the other one is just loves parmesan with pasta. He's like, all he wants
parmesan,
and actually loves
the snobs.
But I'm quite likes olive oil,
normal cheese,
drizzled olive oil, and parmesan.
Mom, where's the balsamic? I'm like, you're treating, man. What have we created? These foodie It's great though.
It is good. It is good.
This isn't a shame thing. It's not a guilt thing. I know the answer will probably hit me hardest, but I do think there's a truth in it, and I want you to be so honest. Is it super important to sit as a family and eat? Is it super important to show your children? So we have an island in our kitchen and we finally got a dining table after many a year of like waiting for this thing to, and so we would all collectively sit and we'd, like you were talking about the crudités, we'd pick the veggies and then we'd have the proper. But is there something educational and important for children to learn, whether you're separated, you're co-parenting, you're single mom, to sit with your children and eat?
Look, I know it's hard, but I do think it is a really good habit to try get into. And it's that, obviously they talk about it, so it can be a real time of connection. Now I do think it's probably when our kids get a little bit older, you get that real connection kind of thing. Because I mean, I definitely don't get that. No, I don't get that now. I just want to get up, But what I do think is it shows the role modelling. So if you're having the picky eaters, I mean, this is what my real hope is that it will turn around the picky phases, because they see what me and Robbie eat, and that kind of role modelling of how we eat our food and the kind of foods that we're eating. I think that's really important for them to see, because otherwise, if you're not giving them, let's say you've got, and I see how easy it is to do, but let's say you get into this habit where you're just giving your kids the same food because that's all they'll eat, and you're busy and you don't want food waste. That really frustrates me too.
Yes, food waste is a killer.
So you're giving them the same foods, but then let's say you're not eating with them, then they may not even ever see the green veg and you know what I mean?
Okay.
So I think it's important that they're seeing that, they're seeing you eating that.
I'm going to be an absolute head wreck. Give me, forget bolognese and pesto pasta, which we know are absolute favourites and brilliant. Give me 2 or 3 other casual midweek meals for busy, stressy, pissy people that are just like, I need some plates. Go on, what would you throw together?
I feel like stir fries are so easy.
I'm not a great stir fryer. Okay,
are
great.
You not?
No, what would you put in it?
They come together real
Fish
quickly.
Or chicken or nothing? Or
beef, like strips of beef, let's say, in there. Like, I love my food processor hack because I just feel like it is so quick when you're cooking. So I'll always have the food processor out for chopping because it just makes things so much quicker.
Okay.
So I'll put in like onion, garlic, ginger, all together in the food processor. And sometimes, like for the kids, let's say I do a stir fry with mince because my kids are much better at eating the beef as mince as opposed to
the strips. Yeah.
Oh, so and it's delicious as a stir fry. So I would put, if they're like saying being funny about carrot, I'd even put the carrot in the food processor. So you have like onion, garlic, ginger, carrot, food processor, blitz it up into small. It's nearly like a paste, and then you cook that in oil on the pan.
Yeah.
Then you add the mince, which cooks in no time, and then a little mixture of soy sauce, lime juice, or wine vinegar.
Yeah.
Wine vinegar if you want, a little bit of honey and some olive oil, and that's your little soy
like
sauce.
A stir fry.
And they loved it. I don't know, my son seems to be obsessed with those kind of Asian flavors with rice. I mean, I think it's very quick and it's kind of done. But if you use a food processor, it's quick because
is it terrible? Okay, I'm not going to say terrible because that's already negative. During the week, I'm good for the hard-boiled eggs for the kids. They do have a little bit of porridge or muesli. Is toast really bad?
No, not toast.
Yeah.
No,
so people say your kids shouldn't be having toast, and if they have toast and jam or toast and a bit of honey, it's basically cake.
No, I think,
I panic attack.
I think that's mad. Now, I think one of my most popular reels was the swap for bread. I actually did one recently on it. You can get a really good because look, a lot of the sliced pan out there it's
full
like
of crap.
It's like bread-like substance. It's not actually bread. Like, bread should be made.
Because we know how it sits in our tummy. We know how it makes us feel as
exactly.
adults.
Bread should be made with flour, water, yeast, salt. Like, that's how you should make bread. And they're at the moment filled with loads of emulsifiers, sugar sometimes, stabilizers, all these things, right? But there's a sliced pan you can get from Stafford's I'm allowed to say the brand, but anyway, in Tesco, right? And it's literally got flour, water, yeast, salt.
Amazing.
And I'm like, this is an amazing swap. If your kids won't eat like sourdough, let's say, pick up this. It's beautifully soft. Now, it's a huge long loaf, so you just cut it in half to make 2 slices. But like, I would regularly give that with my son, like that with peanut butter and chia jam.
Love the peanut butter.
And if you make chia jam, that's really healthy.
Chia jam, great.
It actually only takes 2 seconds to make, really.
I'm stalking your page today. How are you getting on? So you've got 2 angel faces. They are the same age as mine. Because we decided to have babies at the same time. Fertility-wise, we checked in with each other.
2 girls versus 2 boys.
It's mad. But the exact same time, because you were saying your little one, I was saying mine's 7, mine 3. How are you now? So when I would have had you on, maybe over a year and a half, you were in the thick of the horse shit like I was. We were wrecked. I mean, you're like a goddess today.
Stop.
How are you finding it now? Are you delighted with life? Is it calming? Is it not?
No, I am. I have to say, it's massive change, the juggle. And I've been saying to my friends recently, oh my God, like, hats off to working mums, because I did take a long time off, from my business when my kids came along. I took like 5 years off.
Good.
But now, and I kind of thought, I'm going to go back in and I'm going to relaunch Sophie's Nutrition and just kind of do it in my own pace and keep it kind of flexible. And now this has exploded and my work level has gone up massively, but I'm loving it. So like I want to do it because I'm so passionate about it. But then the juggle of the like home life and kids,
We all
and
wanna
that
do
is
everything, don't we?
I am struggling with that now, I have to say, and because it's all been so quick.
So there's other stuff that's calmed. The sleep is kind of calmed. The life, the
that's all
breastfeeding,
fine.
right? But now
That's
you're in the
all
whole
fine.
thing of you finding you again.
Yeah, exactly,
And
and
it's
my
like
work.
my kids are here. Yes.
Balancing the work
Yes.
now. That's a new thing because I wasn't before, and now I'm like balancing
Are you
work.
good at that?
Well, I tell you what slipped is my kind of time for myself, which I'd gotten really good at when I was doing, you know.
You'd be giving out to us now.
Yeah.
You'd be telling us.
I swear, I like things like just getting out for myself, getting all those walks in, all that kind of thing is definitely taking a back seat, and that I can feel the effects of it, particularly in my late luteal phase, which I always talk about. Yeah. So, but look,
because you're always saying nourish yourself, like do
Yes.
your walk. If you need to do your gym, weightlifting, get your time on your own, have your gals over. Like we can't let that. I know we can't be a perfect wife, perfect mom, perfect career woman. We have to, something goes to shit.
Yeah.
But you do need to mind that too.
I'm really going to work on it now because I can feel the effects of it, definitely.
Well, some things like my work has slipped recently because I've been recovering from something, but then my home life has been better because I've been with my kids more, but then I haven't been as active. So it's like nothing is ever perfect.
No, it's
because
not.
if it was, we'd be Beyonce.
Totally.
We don't have a team.
Exactly.
I have no team. Everyone's just like, do you have, I'm like, there's no PA. There is no.
Exactly. People
Robbie's
are like, do you have
amazing
someone,
though, isn't he?
He is, but people are like, oh, you must have someone else editing those reels the way you're banging
Do
them
you?
out. I'm like, no, I'm doing it all myself.
You
Literally
fucker.
all
You're very
myself.
good.
Oh my God. So I'm like, sometimes I'm like, kids are fed. While they're in bath time, I'm like running into my bedroom, finishing the reel before I post it. Like it is chaos, you know.
They're such good reels. You're a fucker. They're so good.
It is chaos, but I think that, like
Are you
say,
going to move into
everything's a
women's
season.
products now? Like, are you going to move
No,
from
no.
what's the hope?
No, I really want to keep doing what I'm doing, spreading the message about trying to help people reduce ultra processed foods, try and pressure the food industry to stop making such ultra processed foods and make more minimally processed foods, because that's really.
Do you want to open a
what I want.
restaurant?
No, that's
Do you
never been.
want to take all the factories down?
Yeah.
Do you want to have a big TV show? Are you going to
Do you
write
know,
more books? What are you going to do with that brain?
I'd love to write a book.
It's
I'd love
explosive.
to write a book. I want to look. I'm building a new online program, which is how to reduce ultra processed foods in your life. So that's an online program, because that's obviously what people are loving at the moment. And I think that I think it's amazing. You know, look, the content that we've done so far with it, and I think people will find it really helpful. And how to, because people are like, this is great, your videos, but I still can't really navigate it myself.
So this is a properly
the
functioning,
program will help you to navigate reducing ultra processed foods in your life yourself if you want. So I'm really excited about that. And yeah, just helping people to like reduce those ultra processed foods, helping or trying to get food companies to realize the demand there is for less ultra processed foods, because we do have power. You know, the more we choose these options that aren't filled with so many unnecessary additives, and we choose the more minimally processed options, which have, you know, basically foods that you could take those ingredients and cook it at home, the more we're choosing those options, the more companies will be like, well, that's where the demand is, that's what we need to make. So that's what I hope.
Do you enjoy a drink of alcohol?
Do you know, I'm not a huge drinker anymore. I like very rarely, which is mad because I used to.
Okay.
I used to, but it's weird.
But you'll have a drop, no?
Oh yeah, I do. No,
Okay.
I do. I'll have a glass of wine like when I'm, you know, out with friends or with Robbie, but I wouldn't be someone to drink like every
Boozing
week.
or
Let's
binging
say.
or- yeah,
No,
okay.
it's just first. I don't know. It's ever since having the kids. I cannot get over how
Hangover
much
is
of it.
hideous.
But also, even while I'm drinking, I physically can't drink that much.
Yeah.
It's just my head starts pounding.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happened, but you know, I love the taste of wine. So it's, you know, I do love enjoying, like we were in Kelly's in Wexford last weekend with family, and you know, I had some beautiful wine there, and that I really
And you
enjoyed
appreciated
that.
it.
Yeah.
It's the savouring. I'm on the savouring buzz, PS.
Yes.
I don't know whether you're on that. I'm 41.
Yeah,
and
same.
something wonderful happens or a good experience. And instead of being like, that's meant to last forever, I'm like, no, savour it. That is really special.
Exactly.
I was in Zurich and I had some little moments. That's not always the case. Now, guys, she is in front of me, and I can tell you now, she is proof that if you eat well, mind yourself, nourish yourself, you look like a divine goddess. So
Stop,
we'll all look like
Rebecca,
Sophie
stop.
in a week.
I'll
Thanks
come on
for
a million
coming back.
times.
Do you
Thank
think
you
you'll
for
come back
having
a
me.
third, fourth and fifth time?
I love, you're amazing. I love Rebecca. Like I said, we connected before we, you know, before
and we
on
were
a
never
personal
we
level.
were never sleeping.
Exactly. So it's so nice to always see you. So
Thank
I'm
you for coming
thrilled.
back.
Thank you for
Keep
having
doing
me.
what you're doing. Like we
you.
always say to each other, ignore the naysayers and just keep being you. You're
Thank you so
killing
much.
it.
Thank you so
Best
much.
of luck.
So nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sponsored by Aptamil Follow On Milk. We believe that every feed is a gift. That's why we've dedicated over 50 years to breast milk research and created Aptamil Follow-On Milk. Aptamil Follow-On Milk, your life, our science. Breastfeeding is best. Follow-on milk should be used as part of a mixed diet from 6 months. Talk to a health professional.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of A Little Birdie Told Me, and if you did, it would mean a lot to me if you could like, subscribe and share this episode.